All right, let's talk about a character who's, well, he's less of a person and more of a philosophical atom bomb. We're diving into a being whose very existence asks a terrifying question to the entire cosmos.
So get this. This is the core idea we're working with. Not the strongest being, not the smartest, but the most important. Now that's a pretty bold claim, right? It immediately tells you something universe-shaking is going on. But why?
And here's the kicker. It's because the fate of everything, the whole cosmic rulebook, the meaning of it all comes down to this one single soul. So who in the world is this entity that holds the power to just unravel reality?
He's Jack's sovereign, but to really get what he is now, you have to understand who he was, just the pitiful, stingy Jack from folklore, a soul condemned to wander forever. He's basically a glitch in the system, an error, and that error is about to become the most dangerous thing in the universe.
So, that brings us right to our first big idea, a glitch in order. This is where we look at the philosophical breakthrough that turned a nobody into a cosmic-level threat.
And this right here, this single sentence is the key to the whole thing. This is the terrible, beautiful truth Jack figured out while he was damned. He realized that being an outcast, belonging to neither heaven nor hell, well, that wasn't a prison. It was a blank check.
So, you'd think he'd just, accept his fate, right? Nope, he completely flips the script. His eternal punishment, he saw it as the ultimate form of freedom. No rules, no laws, no gods to answer to. He was truly and terrifyingly free.
Okay, so you've got all this freedom. How do you actually turn that into power? Well, that's where we get to the engine of apotheosis, which is a fancy way of saying this is how he made himself into a god. It's all about the mechanics of his self-creation. And this is just a perfect picture of his whole method, right? He didn't find power. He didn't ask for it. He literally built it from the scraps of his own curse. He took the junk he was given and engineered it into a weapon and a throne.
This whole transformation, it basically happened in 3 key stages. First, you have the spark. That burning coal from the devil wasn't just a light, it was the spark of his own will catching fire. Then, the cradle. That little turnip lantern, it became his whole philosophy, that a strong enough will creates its own light in the darkness. And finally, the game changer, the catalyst. He found a piece of a fallen angel, saw a kindred heresy in it, and just ate it, merging divine rebellion with his own bottomless greed.
And that moment, that act of cosmic greed, that's the real turning point. This is when Jack becomes something else entirely. This is the birth of the Übermensch, that old idea of a Superman who creates his own values and lives beyond good and evil.
And just like that, stingy Jack was gone. In his place, Jack Sovereign, the Monstrum Unbound. He literally climbed to godhood on the ladder of his own will, breaking every single metaphysical chain along the way. This wasn't a gift from anyone, it was a hostile takeover.
Of course, when you get a name that cool, you're gonna pick up some other titles along the way, and each one is more menacing than the last. The Lantern Wolf, the Fire that Refuses, and my personal favorite, the Predator of the Absolute.
All right, so he's got the cool names, the epic backstory, but what can he actually do? Well, his powers work on a level that's just hard to wrap your head around, which brings us to the power to burn concepts.
You see that lantern? It's not just for seeing in the dark anymore. It spews out something called pandemonium flames. And this isn't fire that burns your house down, it's fire that burns ideas. It can literally dismantle the concept of right and wrong, erase the idea of consequences, and unravel the very fabric of law.
And because he can mess with reality on that fundamental level, he becomes the sovereign sorcerer. He's no longer a victim of fate or destiny, he's the one twisting the chains of causality. Cause and effect aren't his master anymore, they're his playthings.
Just try to wrap your head around what that actually means. He's a zero in the cosmic equation, a blank space where a number should be. He's a paradox, and his very existence puts this immense pressure on reality, threatening to just pull the whole thing apart at the seams.
So, a being this powerful, yeah, he's not just going to sit in one corner of reality. His ambition is bigger than that. It spans all of existence. He has become the multiversal predator.
But what's really, really interesting is how other big players in the cosmos see him. The Chaos Demons, they have a special name for him, Anti-Chaos. And why is that? Because their magic is all about corruption, control, infection, and it just doesn't work on him. His will is so absolute, he's an anomaly they simply cannot predict or command.
And it gets bigger. His soul, this empty, unclaimed thing, has become the ultimate poker chip in this ancient, cosmic bet between two massive forces. You've got Sinos, who represents the void and basically thinks all of existence is a mistake. And on the other side, you have Pan, who argues that the will to power can overcome anything.
But Jack, he doesn't pick a side. He is the terrifying third option. He doesn't join their debate. He walks in and flips the whole table over. He represents sovereign will, and he doesn't care if existence has value. He just cares what he can take from it.
And trust me, he's not just sitting around thinking deep thoughts. He's already out there, shaking things up across the multiverse. He's heading for a collision with Vampirella over a piece of the Chaos Stone. And he's even popped over to the Hyborian Age to mess with Red Sonja's head, collecting on a debt but never actually cashing in the favor.
So, at the end of the day, when you look at the whole story, it's really not just some old spooky story you tell your kids. It's something more. It's a creation myth, a myth of terrifying genesis.
And the takeaway here is actually pretty mind-blowing. It shows you that from absolute nothingness, from a void, a total lack of inherent value or purpose, you can forge the ultimate power. That a life built on nothing but pure, ruthless will can create its own destiny and break every rule in the process. And that leaves us with one last, really unsettling question to chew on. If a will that belongs absolutely nowhere can become anything it wants, what happens to the rest of us when that will decides that what it wants is everything?